Good morning. We've been talking about thoughts and how our thoughts precede our actions and how we have to guard and be vigilant about our thought lives. I want to give you a practical way to do this on a daily basis. I remember reading years ago a book on prayer, and at least a section on prayer. And it talked about how one of the things we need to do in our lives is learn that when we go throughout our daily lives, our prayer life is to be a kind of ongoing conversation with God that gets interrupted by our daily life, rather than the way we typically view our prayer lives, which is a kind of life where we stop and throughout our day, maybe based on needs or disciplines, we carve out time for prayer. In other words, one looks at it as an ongoing conversation with the one who made us that gets interrupted by our day. The other perspective sees that prayer is the interruption to our day. And I think the former is a better way for us to conceive our lives. Now, I think that has direct impact to our thought life. Listen to Isaiah 26:3. You keep him. Remember, guard, right? That was an idea we looked at yesterday. You keep him in perfect peace. You keep him right there. You protect him and put him right there in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. Last clause in the verse, because he trusts in you. See, this ongoing life of dependence that is the normative thing that gets interrupted by the rest of life. But the normal default is an ongoing life of dependence where God is always on my brain. He's always in my thoughts. He's always on my mind that is impacting my brain. He's always on my subconscious moving into my consciousness of how I'm happening in my day. My mind is stayed on God. Allows me to have peace, because it is indicative of a life that is dependent and trusting him. So that means you get in the car, you're dependent on God. You're doing your work, you're dependent on God. You're relating to your family, you're dependent upon God. You're communicating with others, you're dependent upon God. You're alone with your own thoughts, you're dependent upon God. You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you. So my encouragement today to you is have a running conversation with God that might get interrupted by your day, but when it does, just go back to it, to keep your mind stayed on him and see if peace doesn't begin to emerge. See if it is an indicative of a more trustful disposition. May the Lord bless you today.